Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Today we're focusing in on an additional point made by Renee Milan, mother to Jasmine Milan and Stephanie Milan, who was present at the party house onwards Monday morning. Kaden Pressy has made reference as well, acknowledging her name, but obviously the stories don't quite add up because of the inconsistencies when you compare one timeline with somebody else's and then other bits in between. But there is one particular comment which a range of people may have not seen before. To set the scene, to explain from Renee's point of view, who was at the highway, what did it look like in a way, and see if there's any additional times. And then I can also reiterate some previous posts made by Renee as well in response to Kaden Pressy and the general situation, just to try and get a better understanding and grip of things. See, we're still continuing on with the theme of the highway post-news death of Noah Presgrove, so it is relevant to recent discussions. I do understand for some people it might seem like hopping about from one extreme to another, from one person to another, but the thing is with this case, there isn't exactly a formal structure procedure where you go from one to another because of all the different stories, people's accounts, witness reports, or to some extent that's out there. If you had phone data and then you pinpointed it and arranged it in a certain timeline, you'd have to do that for every single person. And it couldn't be just one whole timeline. It would have to be like separate ones, kind of in line, in time with one another, and trying to map it out. And it's pretty heavy, that. That's why we do the videos what we do in this structure. And if at some point a particular thing can be reinforced and 100% true, let's just put it like that, then we can maybe put it as a true marker on one of the Google projects when doing the map analysis. But in the meantime, just working with loose bits of material and referencing key points made in the past. And take in mind, just as a heads up, you never know, but if posts do get deleted from Reddit to Facebook, I might have already seen them, recorded them, and they're archived on my older videos. No guarantee, but I'm sure there's a chance that some of them will and have, but are still present on my channel maybe. There is one particular comment about CCTV at the house, which that comment may have been deleted, may not be traceable now, but there might be a very, very small chance it's somewhere on one of my older videos, but you know, trying to find it like a needle in a haystack. If I ever do find it like a miracle, then I will present it as a separate video. Anyway, welcome to anyone that is watching during this live premiere. Share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right-hand side of the screen. And at the end of watching this particular video, you're welcome to drop a comment below, share your thoughts, theories, any questions you may have, and I can respond back to them later. I'm going to do a bit of a catch-up possibly today as well, with a video I uploaded about 2 or 3 days ago. There's been some interesting comments there. Let's see what people have had to say. May generate some new video ideas as well. But to start things off today, we'll be obviously looking at Renee Milan, and then also from what I can remember of what Kaden Pressy had said as well in one of his interviews, of more so the Partners in True Crime one, because that's when the time was given from what he remembered, but no time was given in the private interview, which is interesting. But before we go any further, if you do want to catch up on recent coverage by me and additional links to videos, playlist of the whole case documented, top right corner screen where the eye symbol is, click up there and you will find a lot of videos, over 231 videos made since June 1st, 2024. More videos would have come out by now, maybe 10 more, if it wasn't for, I guess, technical issues, internet connection, if you remember, screen recorder that time not working, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days missed out on, and then lost internet at times, 5, 6 days. And then maybe if you want to include the 3 videos that were taken down without my consent and I did nothing wrong, yeah, I should be on about 240, 250 videos on this case by now, but you know, I kind of got screwed along the way, which is unfortunate. But besides that and YouTube screwing me, if anyone does want to support this channel, support me, Down below in the pinned comments section, there will be additional links there, for example, PayPal link. So then greedy YouTube will not gain. They don't deserve shit at this moment in time. With that all being said and done, appreciate those that have been watching and catching up, and even shout out to Beauty Gurumo for being able to catch up on a handful of my videos in a short space of time. I know Beauty has said that she hasn't, heard of this case until recent time because of my videos. I mean, you could say it's shocking. It surprises her as well, because with her being a local, or kind of a local, not too far away within the area of Oklahoma, you'd think people closer to the area literally would see posters, flyers, news reports, radio stuff, magazines, whatever, if it's being covered at a relevant time, whether it be back then or still now. But for them to be in the dark about it, it just goes to show how this particular case, Noah Presgrove, can go under the radar even when it's within the area and there's members of the general public around. Yeah, maybe if you go searching, you will find the stuff, whether that be online or in real life. But, just being in the area, you'd think it would be plastered in your face as a reminder as to what has happened, what is going on. Doesn't seem to be the case. And yet a person that's from the UK has managed to spread awareness about a case within another country in a particular state, and people in that state aren't even aware of. It just goes to show how important it can be when it comes to making these videos. But, I don't always analyze people because it's not always needed. But just as like an example, first of all, and just like as a little heads up, no conspiracies going on, all under control. But like when people call out Brooke Bounds-Carter, do you know when it comes to establishing some kind of consistency, some kind of common ground? Well, that can be demonstrated with Brooke Bounds-Carter in the sense that, yeah, people can call and insult her and maybe say that they've got a low IQ. But the key thing is with Brooke Bounds-Carter, smart enough to be aware that Intelligent People Hate Me channel is a complete and utter prat and tosser. And I agree as well. An absolute pathetic excuse of an existence out there with their mentality, their mindset, the false claims made about me, the obsessions about me onwards and onwards, non-stop. It's pathetic. The reason why it's very unique, when you get those type of cretins out there, they're not on the dark side, they're not on the light side. They're somewhere, the lights are on, but no one's home. It's kind of in the middle, but not even in a balanced way, just prats. That's all I can say. Plank, knob, pretty much. And Brooke Bounds-Carter, in her own language and dictionary, will probably agree. So it's about establishing some kind of consistency there, a form of common ground to establish a form of stability. And whilst this is just in a small, light-hearted way, you can see how you could apply it within this particular case. A perfect example being Kaden Pressy and Renee Milan. I don't know how close they are, if they have parted or become distant because of the chain reaction of all the other partygoers towards Kaden, contact being broken, and it's just been unfortunate for Kaden and maybe unfortunate for other partygoers. At the end of the day, two isolated individuals, witnesses, person of interest who were at the party, who saw certain things, heard certain stuff, etc., that there's a common ground individually in a more natural way between Kaden and Jasmine in terms of commenting about Noah Presgrove and his activity levels when it comes to when he wanders off, walks away from a party, and it's normal for that to happen. In the past, when we heard about Noah walking away and one person, maybe Jasmine, commented about it, it's normal. We may have not believed in what Jasmine said, or we may have been a little bit skeptical. But then as soon as Kaden Pressy basically says the same exact thing, it kind of backs Renee Milan up in an innocent way. Now, Kaden wasn't doing it for Jasmine. Kaden was just basing it off his own individual experiences. That's what makes it more raw, more natural, and just more honest in a sense. If you can have more party goers commenting about Noah or particular events at the party, individual viewpoints, but they all say the same thing, it just seems more natural and more believable. Whereas if you had a room full of people that say all the same thing, but they also know one another, you could say it's very biased. But when you isolate people individually, question them, or they just tell you stuff, and there's no like influencer biased researcher effect in the moment, you're going to hear it from the horse's mouth. You're going to hear it much louder and clearer. So common ground between Kaden and Jasmine in terms of Noah walking away. The more normal it is, the more believable it would have happened at some time at the party house, right? So what other type of common ground can you find within this case? If anyone does know, or you have examples, leave it below in the comment section. See, I know I should be doing separate videos about this when it comes to the mindset, but if you're dealing with the Noah Presgrove case and it's a bit overwhelming or underwhelming in terms of progress being made and it feels like things are slowing down and going a bit quiet, what you need to do is look back and maybe reflect retrospectively to see, was there ever a time, besides the typical division between light and dark, certain witnesses and others, was there ever any agreements, any moment of stability, and go from there. Build some kind of foundation so that when things do go to shit, you got something to fall back on. Now, the only other analysis I just wanted to make reference to in terms of Beauty Gurumo is the fact that she might have not been aware of the case previously, but she is in recent time, and she has questioned so much and mentioned many points, as well as spending time to write up the comments in either the live chat or the comment section, questioning a lot, which is a good thing, but still doing one's best to be balanced and not go all in on a particular subject. I don't know if they mentioned it about themselves or towards others, that cases like this can get a little bit tense or maybe emotions can run high. So it may impact your own or somebody else's viewpoint on the case, but at this moment in time, I wouldn't say it's impacted Beauty Gurumo. They seem to have it under control, which is obviously a big positive. Yeah, there'll be new people that come along with time to the channel or leave comments, and that's good as well. But, you know, you will get bumpy patches along the way with some, but luckily that's not happening at this moment. Even Tim Daniel seems to have it under control in their mindset, their reasoning ability, right? So let's just say the dark side or some kind of dark side is present, and yet it seems to be under control. Maybe it's because the true dark side is me. What does that mean exactly? I don't know. Probably need to change the subject real quick before it gets all kind of conspiracies. Beauty Gurumo, transition into the makeup effect, because you need to distract people's minds before it all goes downhill. But no, it's like, if you can tame the darkness and control it within reason, then it's not going to escalate that bad, but it's done in a natural way. How would you tame the darkness anyway? Another little psychological effect, being honest. Darkness meets light, it can complement one another, but it hasn't within this case in communities. We've seen the disruptions, the misunderstandings, the insults back and forth. And whilst it can still happen in the live chat when certain people may not gel or mix well, at least from my perspective at this moment in time, is that, you know, I haven't created this platform because, you know, YouTube own it. But at least in terms of the channel and the space, the comment section or the live chat, people have the ability to share their thoughts, positive or negative, from either side without really any consequences. Now, I don't know if it was in this case or maybe a past one where I remember where some people actually got a little bit into a fuss where people were demanding and telling me what I can and can't do on my own channel. I need to block this person and block them. But this time around, that's not happened from what I can remember, which is good. The way you tame the darkness, as some people would call it, is not by actually physically silencing or cutting them down, but just allowing them to release their own energy or any built-up stuff within them in the chat or in the comments and go from there. to not completely dismiss the dark side, just listen to them, and then add your own counterpoints on whether they like it or not, but in a controlled way without, going into overkill mode. Not many people can master that, hence why the light and dark can be split into two. But here, under control. And people that could be considered as not having it under control in the viewpoint of others, in other environments and places, well, it's a contrast here, is it not? And I've seen there been times in the past where some from the light side have caused me more problems than those from the dark. That says a lot, doesn't it? But just to finalise with Beauty Gurumo, being able to pick up on a lot, question a lot in a short space of time, it's not easy to do, to be honest. At least for me, when getting into this case, I couldn't just jump in immediately or question or think outside of the box. I had to, follow the formal procedure at first, maybe with some articles, Daily Mail, and then branch out later. I might be able to do it now, but I couldn't early on. But, some of the people out there can do it much quicker than me. But that aside, with that all out the way, some kind of introduction, we probably should kick it off and look at what Renee has had to say in previous time. Here we are. So I don't know about the aspect ratio for this particular comment because it's quite long horizontally, but I'll try and read it out as best as I can on screen, and if not, zoom out if required. Renee Milan, I believe this is on Facebook, responding to Robbie Taylor, saying, I want to say it had to be around 7 in the morning, Monday, or a little after that, I stopped in regards to the highway, the scene where Noah's body was at. It takes 40 to 45 minutes for me to get to Terrell. I saw a few volunteer firefighters, Jack Newton, Caleb Newton, and Caleb's dad. I noticed one police officer. I didn't really look at anything beyond that because I didn't want to see Noah. I told my daughter, her boyfriend, my husband, to not look either. We didn't see him like that. I never saw Tyler Hardy, and it's probably why he never saw me. I was always back from where Noah was when I pulled up. I'm working on getting my damn phone records and Life 360 locations from that morning so I can prove that part of the story being said about me is false. Now, who's saying the false story? Is that from Kaden Pressy's point of view or somebody else's? Kaden Pressy has made a mention about Renee being at the scene, but in terms of the timing and all, that's where the dysfunction is. And we'll go back over and break it down what Renee states here, because some of you may have never seen this particular comment before. There are additional ones here and there, which we'll get to, and there's different ones. So, it had to be around 7 in the morning or so, arriving at the highway. Well, from what Kaden Pressy has mentioned, Renee arrived at the party house at 6:30 a.m. and left the house along with Kaden, but individually, at 7 in the morning. So you can see there's major conflict already. The time Kaden says that Renee left the party house was at 7, and Renee here is saying, well, 7 is the time of when I just about arrived at the highway before even reaching the party house. So there is a fair time difference. Is it accidental or what? Is one person telling the truth, another person lying, or are they just simply getting confused? Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe we could do a little poll or so. The reference to it takes 40 to 45 minutes to get from wherever they are down to Terrell. Got to take that into consideration. A few volunteer firefighters. Were any of them the same volunteer firefighters that was supposedly caught on camera in that highway footage of tampering with evidence earlier on after 5:30 when Kaden left? I wonder. Jack and Caleb seems to check out there from, I guess, what we've heard of. But the bit about Renee saying, I didn't really look at anything because I didn't want to see Noah, I can understand that. And as well, telling daughter, boyfriend, because you don't want to traumatize anyone. You don't want to have that dark reminder being imprinted in your mind. I get that. But by not looking at Noah, it limits your knowledge on the case, or in terms of how Noah appeared at that moment, naked or not, more likely naked, but, you know, with a short stare, were they visible or not, nearby, the position of Noah's body and whatnot, you know, when comparing it to maybe what Kaden saw earlier on, there's that. The mention about Tyler Hardy, didn't see him, he didn't see me. But in another post, Renee, I believe, does mention that she was told to leave the scene. And Tyler Hardy said he overheard a person in a high-vis jacket telling somebody to leave the scene. I was originally the one that interpreted it as maybe Tyler overheard Renee, indirectly, being told to leave. So there's that, possibly. Now, of course, if you're further back and you're not too close to the area, that's probably why Tyler may have not seen you, etc. But in terms of Renee, where she says, I told my daughter, Renee is referring to Stephanie Milan, a party goer from the party house. Jasmine is still at the party house. What I find interesting is, at what time did Stephanie Milan leave the party? At what time? Before or after Noah's death? And if it was after, did Stephanie Milan participate in searching for Noah, supposedly? I mean, people can come and go, I know. And if you do live separately, I get that too. But, you know, if you got, like, sisters, Jasmine and Stephanie, both together at the party house, you would think they'd probably stick around together. But then it depends on the timing when one had to leave and if they had to be somewhere else, right? Meeting up with someone or her boyfriend. You never know. It's interesting, though, because Kaden Pressy, in his interview, mentioned Partners in True Crime, the public one, that it was only Renee Milan that arrived at the party house at 6:30 a.m. You can see it for yourself in the Partners in True Crime video. And yet, in the private leaked police recorded interview in 2024, weeks or a month before the Partners in True Crime public interview, Kaden Pressy did not give a time as to when Renee arrived, but did mention that Renee arrived with Stephanie, Stephanie's boyfriend, and Renee's husband. So it's interesting how some names were mentioned in the private interview, but not mentioned in the public one. So I thought I'd just throw that out there. The mention about phone data records, Life 360, that's interesting to hear, because I wonder what it would be like for other partygoers. We've seen some people in the community in Case Online referring to. It'd be good to see the Life 360 app for all the other partygoers, what they were up to, what they were doing, etc. And there's that. If we move on to this one, so most of you may have already seen it before, but we might as well just add it on, just in case anything here may contradict anything there. I have no clue where people get their information from. No, I didn't clean up anything at the house, which I arrived at almost 7 in the morning. Oh shit, hold on, that's not a good start. I want to say it had to be around 7 a.m. or a little after 7 in the morning. After that, I stopped. Right, so around 7 in the morning, or just a bit after, that's when you stopped at the highway. And that's what Renee says. But Renee also mentions April 29th, 2024, on Facebook, an official post or so, that she arrived at 7. But what does that mean? At the house? How can you arrive at the house at 7 in the morning if you also say that at 7 in the morning onwards you arrived at the highway? There's like a mile and a bit more distance between from the highway to the party house. So you can't be in two places at once. So we've already seen an inconsistency by Renee Milan. And that's not me being nasty or really, really critical in a negative way. I'm just making over non-participant observations, which you can clearly see yourself, right? Arriving around 7 in the morning at the party house, but also arriving 7 in the morning or later at the highway. Yeah, you could arrive at 7 in the morning at the highway, give or take a certain length of time you being there, and then the time to get from there down to the party house is going to be later. So, problem, right? And the reason why I interpret it as 7 at the party house is because the sentence structuring here, I didn't clean up anything at the house. The house, which I arrived at almost 7 in the morning. So to say at almost 7 in the morning implies just before 7 a.m. But around 7 onwards, you arrived at the highway. So I know it's not the case, but if you wanted to be really specific with language, it implies that Renee arrived at the house before 7 in the morning and then arrived at the highway after 7 in the morning. That is not what happened, but that's how you can interpret it when it comes to poor language wording and contradictions made, or more so inconsistencies. Hopefully people get where I'm coming from. I do believe that Renee Milan did arrive at the highway first and stop by for a certain length of time, and then later went to the house. But it can't be true that she was there and here and everywhere at 7 in the morning. You're in one place or another, simple as. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Renee then says, actually, when I pulled up at the highway and things were being picked up, I told them it's pointless in regards to the party house. The cops will know this was a party. After talking to a few of them, I told them that they would be the first ones investigated because they were the last ones to see him alive. Secondly, talk of me removing guns is being made into something it's not. So, Renee strongly believed there was no point in moving anything from the house because police would know that they've had a party and would be questioned anyway. But in terms of the firearms, well, we can leave that as an exception. They can be moved on even when the owners of those guns are on site talking directly to you. There'd be no need to adjust that. That's the only point that does stand out and raise a few questions, I'll be honest with you. She makes a reference about the kids that were leaving said they had a few guns in their vehicles. Right, so the kids that were leaving, at the time, had guns in their vehicles. Well then, how did they get back home then? Did they not use their vehicles because they were drunk, so they needed to be driven home by somebody else, a designated driver? And with leaving your vehicles behind, you left your guns behind as well. So then Renee would have to collect them all up and then send them back to the owners. If that's the case, then I could understand that. See, I'm understanding it from different perspectives now. I couldn't at the time because I can't think of everything in the moment. Anyway, Renee says, don't know what kind because I'm not a gun person, but all I know is big ones. So I put them in my vehicle to take where they belonged. Guns were never thought to be the cause of death at the time or any time thereafter. Oh, so because they're not relevant to Noah's death, but they were about at the time building up to it, even though guns are like inanimate objects, they're still like items of interest, just like how people are of interest to the case of those who were last known to see Noah alive. I think everything should remain in place where it is until searched, possibly investigated. Never happened then. I never told anyone to leave the house. Okay. But people did leave the house. From Kaden Pressy's story or timeline, Kaden Pressy took Brylan, Mikey, Isaac home. And yet Renee's referencing here that the police will want to talk to you, so you might as well stay on site. It can make it easier for everyone and for yourself. So then the police don't have to come chasing after you. I understand that. So why did Kaden want to go home? Is it because he wanted to be with his family? Comfort? I understand that. why didn't Kaden Pressy contact his family, his parents, about the news earlier on? When other people did, like Jack Newton with his father, Jasmine Milan with Renee Milan, so the parents could come on down and comfort the children. Why didn't Kaden Pressy do the same thing? Well, maybe because Kaden Pressy was frozen at the time, didn't react like how other people do in his mind. He was in shock. Could it be that Kaden just wanted to get away from the area and would rather tell his parents up close in the comfort of their own home, so it's easier? Is it because Kaden Pressy did not want to interrupt his parents, who may have been asleep at the time or not? There's different ways of looking at it. You could say maybe Kaden Pressy was being respectful, didn't want to cause a scene, didn't want to disturb anyone's peace or rest if they had been elsewhere doing other stuff. Just take in mind that Kaden Pressy was willing to step back from the highway and go back to the house after a stranger told him to leave because Kaden said he respects his elders. So there could be a little general theme of respect. And I know other people could respond back with, so what, who gives a shit in a moment like that? If something bad has really happened and a friend or a loved one that has been impacted or worse, and you're there, you should have the right to make a noise. You should have the right to reach out to someone. But maybe Kaden Pressy just reacts differently in different situations compared to how other people do. You've got to keep it somewhat balanced. But I do understand, the questioning of, wouldn't it have been easier if partygoers had stayed on site at the property? Would it have been any better for them? Now, I'm not saying that with Kaden Pressy walking away, driving off, makes him suspicious. I'm not saying that him leaving the party whilst others remained equaled him being treated differently by police, or when it came to the phone data, that being dragged out. Because at the end of the day, if Brylan, Mikey and Isaac were able to communicate, cooperate with police, or the police were able to get on well with those partygoers and there's a level of respect there, well, those three individuals were with Kaden when leaving, so you'd think they'd be all in the same boat, but maybe that's not the case. So Kaden singled it out still. Not a direct correlation there. But, if you're friends and you know one another, you think you want to stick together until there's a form of closure, right? Instead of isolating yourself, especially if it's a bad time, emotional time, and then you leave and then you go out driving shortly afterwards. Are you in the right frame of mind to be driving? But once again, everybody does things differently. People cope in different ways. So, got to take that into mind. But is there anything else to mention here before we move on? The house was never cleaned with anything at all, because to my knowledge, the house wasn't cleaned for weeks to make sure law enforcement didn't need to come back for anything. Now, that's the homeowner's decision, not mine. I can't remember where it was mentioned, whether it be Partners in True Crime, one of the interviews with Kaden Pressy, or if it be mentioned in the private interview, but I do remember a reference where 3 days after the death of Noah, Kathy Bingham was at the party house observing the Milan family cleaning up the house for like 3 days straight. Does anyone remember that? Be sure to leave a response in the live chat and let me know if you're on the same wavelength as me. I just can't remember where it exactly came from. Something tells me maybe Partners in True Crime interview, but the part 2 one. And trust me, when I say part 2, I don't mean the unreleased interview. I just mean the 10-minute clip of Kaden Pressy finishing off talking from his part 1 interview, which was cut somewhat short. It was the longer interview where Kaden started, finishing off from the last one for 10 minutes, and then it stopped, and then some other person came on as a guest onto the show of their podcast. Hopefully you remember that. It might have been mentioned there. If it wasn't mentioned there, it would have to be probably the private interview. I just remember the reference of Kathy Bingham at the party house really early on, 3 days after Noah's death, watching the Milan family doing a clean of the house for 3 days or so. Why? How deep of a clean is needed? Because honestly, when we saw the party footage, it wasn't that messy. It didn't look that bad. So what really needs cleaning, right? Makes you think, Now, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, really lower down at the bottom, just make sure to look. The time Jasmine Milan called me would have had to have been between 5:45 a.m. to 6 in the morning. Takes me about 40 to 45 minutes to get to Terrell. So does that all add up to around 7 in the morning? Well, if you take 6 a.m. as the latest, you would be arriving, at the house or at the highway at about 6:45 at the latest. Let's just put it that way, at the latest, 6:45 or so in the morning. Take in mind, this is an estimate, so it's going to be rough. There could be adjustments made. I'm just working with what I've got here. So it's close to 7 in the morning, just a little bit before it. Now, does it link to anything here? Well, no, because this one says it had to be around 7 or after 7. And this one here, towards the top of the screen, it was almost 7, as in at the house. There's a few discrepancies. And to be honest, to say that you arrived at the house just before 7 in the morning, but to also say that, did you also say that you were at the highway though in this particular post? I don't think so. No. No acknowledgement here, which is interesting. But if the same sentence of this was within that, it just wouldn't add up in terms of the timing exactly. But still, 6 in the morning, arriving at the highway at maybe around 6:45. Well, by then, Jack would know, people would know, the news would have spread, obviously, and reported into police officially. But at the earliest, 5:45, well, still, the time to get down there, once you arrive, you would be technically late to the party at the highway, no pun intended. But the initial timing of when it was made known to Renee is what's important. At the earliest, 5:45 a.m. And obviously, Jack Newton only found out from his side of the story at 6 in the morning onwards, when he was down the highway going to the fishing trip, to then be abruptly stopped and check out what's going on to find out that his best friend's dead. So Jack Newton finds out 6 in the morning onwards, but Jasmine Milan knows about Noah's death at around 5:45. Yet Jack is the one at the party house, and so is Jasmine. So if Jasmine found out about Noah's death at 5:45, contacting the mother further away, then why didn't Jasmine also tell Jack he was in a different room? Surely. So it's odd. That's why it would make me believe, for it to all make, or for it more so to make sense for people, that 6 in the morning was the time when Jasmine Milan contacted Renee. But still, if we're talking about directly 6 in the morning and basing it off Jack Newton's timeline of finding out about 6 in the morning onwards at the highway firsthand, to then going back to the party house, which could take 5 minutes or so, and so many minutes processing it at the highway to get back to the party house to announce the news to everyone, so then Jasmine would know by then, so she could contact Renee, that would be over 6 in the morning, and it wouldn't be in the time frame that's mentioned here by Renee Milan. So it just wouldn't make sense. It's closer to Kaden Pressy's timeline than it is to Jack's. If Jack found out at 6 in the morning, whilst at the highway, Jasmine wouldn't know at 6 in the morning, let alone before that. She would only know after 6 a.m. once Jack makes it back to the house, and that takes a bit of time. So either Renee Milan's estimation here is quite off and mistakes have been made, it is what it is, or there could be some lies elsewhere going about. Depends how you interpret it at the end of the day. There might be some additional points that I've not mentioned just yet, but I can't think of everything in the moment. I have done a video somewhat interpreting this before in the past, maybe mentioning it in other ways as well. So let's just check this one out. Another one. The blatant lies this kid is saying about me. I'm interpreting this as Renee responding back to Kaden Pressy, possibly, because Kaden did mention Renee's name in his interview, Partners in True Crime, and then obviously the private one, which was like a month before. It blows my mind, Renee says. I've been honest and told exactly what I did from the time I got Jazz's call until the night that I got home. So Renee is being 100% honest. Well, if you're being 100% honest, are you saying that you are some kind of magical being, that you can be in two places at once at the same time, around 7 in the morning at the highway and before 7 in the morning, but close to it at the house as well? You can't be in two places at once. That's just me being extra critical because we're being strict here, but don't worry, I will apply it to other people as well. It's not just exclusive to Renee, it can be applied to others, and we'll get to that with time. Anyway, what else? I have no reason to lie about anything. Just weird that he, possibly Kaden, feels the need to lie so much. I don't know if he's attention seeking and wants it to be more than what it is. I was on the scene for maybe a few minutes. This is where it gets interesting. I was on the highway for a few minutes trying to check on Jack. Got told to leave, so went to the house. So did you go to the house because you had nowhere else to go, or did you go to the house because that's where you were intending on going in the first place and you stopped by at the highway? Because it depends how you interpret the language here. But, yes, it seems a little bit consistent with the other post by Renee that, yeah, you were at the highway, acknowledging that, but then that middle post, what we saw just on the previous slide, no mention of being at the highway. But then again, different comments, different replies, it can all tie in together. It's just not the timing that's quite in sync. But only here it's mentioned that she was told to leave. And as I said, maybe Tyler Hardy did not see Renee and vice versa, but Tyler Hardy did mention he overheard a high-vis jacket telling somebody off to leave the area. Just happens that Kaden Pressy was also told by a truck driver to leave the area, but that was earlier on at around 5:30 a.m. Here, we're talking about, 6:45 or just a bit before 6:45 in the morning onwards? Interesting. I want to know your thoughts about this. Anything else? Being told to leave. Now, would they really be told to leave if they were further back in the first place? You get what I'm saying? If you get that out of reach. Anyway, Renee says, all the boys were asleep per the girls. Really? They were all asleep? Well, from what Kaden words it as, when he got back to the house at least on his timeline, 5:30 onwards, that the guys may have gone to sleep, but Kaden did not, and the girls were still awake, and they were crying inside. But Renee says here that when getting down, the girls were in the driveway crying. The driveway as in outside. Why were they outside? Waiting for the parents? I don't know how Kaden, thinks he overheard any conversations me or Jazz had when he only came out of the house right before he left. Interesting. Kaden's point of view, Kaden said Renee arrived, interpreted as by herself from the Partners in True Crime interview at least, arrived as in coming through the door and then talking to Kaden, Kaden talking to Renee, hence finding out about being at the highway. And I believe, whilst Renee says she was only at the highway for a few minutes, I'm sure Kaden said that Renee was at the highway for about 15 to 30 minutes long. Such extreme time differences once again. Who's telling the truth? Or who's making a mistake? Interesting how Renee here says that Kaden is lying, and other people from the dark side have worded it more so that Kaden Pressy is just getting confused. So there's different perspectives, even from a particular side of the community. That's interesting. What else do we have? He did. Kaden did in fact ask, what about these guns in his Jeep? And I said I would take them and get them to Jack's. Wait, why? These guns in his Jeep? What, Kaden had guns in his Jeep? Why? The red Cherokee? Why did Kaden have guns in his Jeep? When it's been interpreted as guns were about in the house and Renee had to ask the people, Kaden and Brylan, to gather them up, but not how it's mentioned here. They were already in the back of a vehicle and that they were to be taken to Jack's. I thought Jack only had one firearm, an AR-15, but it's worded here that there was more than one gun and they had to be given to Jack. Why? Anyone that knows me knows guns scare the hell out of me. I don't know what kind they were, just big ones. I don't know why me taking guns to the owners is such a big deal when we all thought at the time Noah was hit by a vehicle or so. The reason why you could interpret it as a big deal is that, you want everything else to remain as it is at the party because police are going to check or question. But as for the firearms, we can turn a blind eye with that. It's like a bit of picking and choosing what can and can't be done. That's all. What else do we have here? He in fact did not clean up beer cans, Kaden, because they'd already been picked up by the time I'd got there. I don't know where that I told him to take the rest of the beer came from. The only thing I talked to the kid was literally telling him I'd take the guns to the owner. I think the kid was in shock or something because his whole recollection of that morning is off to include times. I think it's absurd. The others came forward sharing their recollection of what happened leading up to and after. Can be confirmed by law enforcement, and they are bashed like they killed Noah, but one kid. What Renee is saying here, that the other partygoers were more truthful in what they said and how they communicated with law enforcement, and it can be backed up that they were attacked more than Kaden Pressy, who's supposedly lying, but Renee also believes that maybe down to the trauma and the event that Kaden may have made a mistake. Let me just read that again. Let's just see. I think it's absurd that, where is it? Something about his whole recollection of that morning is off. But why? Yeah, so Kaden may have been in shock or something. Well, if Kaden was in shock or something, you can't say he's lying. When you lie, you're doing it intentionally. You're aware that you're lying, and maybe you're trying hard to lie to pull the wool over other people's eyes. If you're in shock and that impacts your recollection of thoughts and events as to what happened, you're not lying, you're just making mistakes. So for Renee in the same paragraph to say, first of all, blatant lies from Kaden. Is he an attention seeker? Is he trying to make it out more than what it really is? But by the way, he's probably off on his times and recollections because of shock, which is understandable. But he's still a liar anyway. No, it doesn't quite work like that when you apply those two words together. It just doesn't gel. Doesn't quite apply. More so making mistakes or not being done intentionally, not intentionally causing harm. But then again, we can still apply it to other reasoning with other partygoers. Just let me know what you think down below in the comment section. What we have transitioned onto now is the comment section of a previous video that I did. I just want to catch up there. So with the previous analysis, what we've just done, and trying to understand it from Renee's perspective and Kaden Pressy's, just to reiterate, you can always discuss it upon yourself in the live chat. I'm catching up on the comments now. We'll do it from the newest. Go from the bottom, work our way up. There's about 130 something, so I want to try and get through this efficiently, so we're okay for time. CC says, thank you, Ref. You're welcome. Annoyed. You are all arguing me on what is stated in the autopsy report. It's not my explanation or theory. It's facts. I like facts and thought you all did as well. See, yeah, the autopsy report is obviously important, but are there any details missing? Yes or no? Some people believe that's the case. How truthful is the autopsy report? It probably doesn't sound a good thing that to question it, but you question everything in a case like this, the way it's gone. The facts are important, but unfortunately, autopsy report aside, at times in life there can be facts which are actually more so just opinions. Comes down to language and wording. That's a separate discussion. Sherry, if another trucker had already gone past Noah's body, how would the shorts be in the middle of the highway still? Well, it depends. With Tyler Hardy, Tyler H, if they were the first ones to pass by and try and swerve around the stuff in the middle, maybe cars in between did the same. As for earlier on in the day when Kaden, from his timeline, was there, no clothing was in the middle of the road at that point. But after 5:30, that's when it supposedly happened with the tampering of the body and shorts, the black ones too. So there's a certain time frame. I'm with you. Never mentioned that they were in the middle of the road, or he would have stated that. Also, the shorts were never ran over, like perfectly placed, in my opinion. They were not perfectly placed in the middle of the road. I think they were called spewn out in the middle, and that was from the People article, and also indirectly mentioned by Kaden Pressy, I believe, from, how it referenced it. So there's that. Tyler has stated in comments some time back that the shorts were in the roadway. Yes, and there is no evidence they weren't run over. The autopsy states no observable damage. It does not state whether they were clean or dirty. Oh my God, AJ Williams, thinking in line with my mindset without it getting cocky or anything like that? Wow. See, that's what I mean, common ground. And I questioned it in that part of the autopsy report on that video that I did, where the odd person may have been very critical of. But I did mention it, that when it comes to the white shorts, no observable damage as in tears, rips, holes. But as for stains, marks, dust, that may not be considered damage, just additional colours and layers upon what's already there. But what's mentioned here? No, he didn't. Why are we telling lies now? Well, if you want to interpret from what Tyler Hardy said, as in the dispatcher call, that there was clothing in the middle of the highway. Okay, he didn't in the call say shorts, but he did say clothing in the middle of the highway. It sounds pretty self-explanatory that. Just like the Dylan Rounds case, where there was video footage of Brenner just after the murder of Dylan, caught on camera, somehow accidentally recorded by Brenner, the murderer, in possession of Dylan's phone, having blood all over him and cleaning a firearm. The shirt worn at the time later found DNA of Dylan on that shirt, but the blood wasn't confirmed at the time early on, and people were being awkward saying, well, that blood on Brenner could be someone else, could be an animal. Why are people trying to justify it when you can just use common sense to basically say, well, the timing of it all, it's literally Dylan's blood. It's obviously Dylan's blood. It's that obvious, just like how it's somewhat obvious here that when Tyler Hardy says there's some clothing in the middle of the highway, it's obviously going to be the shorts. Right? Seems to be the case. Anyway. Shay, as I remember, the call by TH, he said a piece of clothing in the road. Exactly. So it's pretty much the shorts. Maria? Honestly, I'm so sick of everyone's lies. For those who had to do with Noah Presgrove's death, they really need to deeply interrogate the first one who saw Noah walk away to the first one who saw Noah Presgrove in the side of the road. You call the suspects and not letting them move or leave the state or country, just like Jack Newton did whilst their investigation going on. Ellie needs to do a better job and hurry up, find out who did this to Noah Presgrove, and stop ruling that it's not a murder and it's not a hit and run. So what the hell is it? It's obvious. Looks like a murder to me. Warlike Raph, always love your videos. That's good to know. Big shout out to Maria Delegado. In terms of, if it's ruled out as hit and run, ruled out as murder by police, then the only other thing that would be left would be some kind of accidental vehicle situation. Correction, walked and rode. My phone is not that great. It's okay. Beth, I'm right there with you. A new set of eyes need to tackle this case, and the best of the best. I know if they say it's not hit and run and not murder, then it must be manslaughter, accidental killing. Yeah. Oh, spazzing out just a little bit there, YouTube. Tammy, they don't want to use common sense. Sherry, as usual, great video. Appreciate that, Sherry. Teresa, the fact they withheld time of death on autopsy report, why? Is it because time of death would show he was at the property when he died? It is common to publicly withhold time of death in an open, active investigation. There is nothing nefarious about it. See, with the Dylan Rounds case, I can't remember at what point, but it was basically interpreted, not with hard evidence in the moment, but it was interpreted that, well, at 7:03, Dylan's phone pinged at the grain shed, And then by 7:27, Brenner had blood on him, cleaning a firearm, which was probably the one used to shoot Dylan multiple times in the skull, in the head. So from 7:03 to roughly 7:27, round it up, 30-minute time difference within that period of when Dylan died. Well, maybe you could do the same here with the Noah Presgrove case, not officially confirm it or see it on the autopsy at this moment, but you could estimate. And that's what people have done. And, well, Jack made a reference to 4 a.m. from what he's been told, but we don't have enough context there, which is unfortunate. Teresa, did I miss anything good in chat? Oh, I can't remember. Kaden joined the chat. Oh, yeah. 30 minutes. Oh, yeah, we've done a video on that already. Okay. True. Did you see the video the Kaylee YouTuber had of Noah and Jack in truck way before party? I think when Noah turned to look, you could see his eye. Good person, smiling, riding shotgun. What footage is that? I don't remember seeing that. Okay, I'm just going through this quick only because of the timing, because there's a lot of comments here. But if you want to pause the video, you can. Seen it a few months ago. Kaylee YouTuber asked her. She did good stuff in him, even talked to Kaden. Maybe she got video from Kaden or offline. Well, the other thing is, Teresa, Kaylee is the one at some point with her following that made false claims about Warlight Ref copying her content when I first started off June 1st. And the only reason why Kaylee and some of her audience members did that towards me is because we go back to 2022 when covering the Dylan Rounds case. Kaylee was covering that case as well. I was individually. Kaylee associated herself with an ex-felon or someone that was serving time in jail for all kinds of stuff and online harassment as well at some point. And, you know, just going along with it and being in some kind of cult and odd behaviour. Kaylee indirectly supporting the particular individual who was making false claims about me being a trafficker, and Kaylee found it very funny. So it just goes to show that my memory still remains, and I do remember it very clearly as for who are humans and who are questionably twats. Okay, and I do remember some of the individuals' pathetic excuses that for some reason they were commenting on my channel. They saw a photo of my muscle and they said, ew, yuck. And I'm thinking, fucking hell, if I had to look at that profile picture again, I might as well dip my head in bleach. Fuck off, you knob. Moving on, and that's not in a reference to a particular YouTuber, it's in a reference to an audience member elsewhere who originated from the Dylan Rounds case. So you see the cesspit there, but it's all under control here. So shout out to everyone that's still watching. Skippy, I don't have Facebook, but once in a while I'm able to view those posts until Facebook realizes I'm snooping and it cuts me off. Oh, is that because you're not got an account or something? Very surprised to see him on there. I know there's a lot of back and forth between various groups. So, you know, people show up just at the right time. As long as I cover the videos and keep on going, it might bring in the right people. It happened in the Kenny Veach case. It can happen here with time. Dutton was left white line, like roadkill, such a good guy. Oh yeah, know his body. He spread lots of misinformation, Teresa. If there was a video of him being attacked and murdered, then there would have been arrest already, not to also mention the injuries. Autopsy does not support him being attacked and murdered. Are there any additional piece of information to know as body damage sustained or clothing which has not been revealed public, been hidden, retracted, which could push the idea of a possible murder, I wonder? Teresa, I'm not spreading misinformation. I've seen it read from a video. I watched maybe it was taken down. Not sure. Also, supposedly video shorts removed by supposedly a fireman. No, it wasn't a fireman. It was supposedly a police officer or a police guy, which Kaden Pressy made a reference to in the private interview with police. Oh my God, there's a lot going on here. Pretty sure she said there's proof he was attacked, killed, like fight, or ask someone close. Who's she? The aunt said in video, but not true in police corruption. The aunt was supposed to go to concert with the other aunt was interviewed, implied, said fire department messed up, and if I remember correctly, she did not mention police. I don't remember that. There's so much going on. Wondering how Dylan Round's mom got the feds in on the case when she was getting BS from county cops or police stonewalling Box Elder County Sheriff's office. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the FBI seemed to step in early on in the case, or at least assisting, but not taking full control, but doing a lot more than in this particular situation, because the FBI aren't even assisting from what we're aware of in the Noah Presgrove case. They're literally on the sideline waiting for a thumbs up just to partially assist. So yeah, the Dylan Rounds one, there was a bit more of a push there, unless it's because Candice Cooley was so determined and rough and rugged to really push, and people in the community did as well. They forced changes to be made with time. And in the Noah Presgrove one, it's a little bit slower paced. It depends. Right. Maybe full out tailgate when they pull body out, dump on the highway and didn't see them because they left in a hurry drunk. More lies, but the shoes will stay on. Someone must have bleached one. Oh wait, how many people are in on pornos? Death, money, sure does talk. See, what we're getting in recent time is, I believe Robbie quoted or made a reference to Kaden in recent time on the YouTube comment section about a sneaker, which has been interpreted differently. Then supposedly there was a point made by Kaden from Partners in True Crime, what other people quote, requote, or if it's elsewhere, about Noah wearing a pair of Hey Dude shoes, which doesn't make sense. Kaden Pressy, how it was quoted on the People article, wearing a pair of Hey Dude shoes. But then where we've heard it everywhere else in between and in the official autopsy report, a pair of mismatched shoes, which was one Hey Dude and one Adidas, Noah's. And then maybe in between, a mention of a Hey Dude was included, but it was on the wrong foot. So we've got a shoe debacle now. Bloody shoe debacle. What's it going to be next? Oh, was the person's eyelashes done or not? Oh, gosh. Teresa. When Kaden said Jack came in the door at 5:15 saying Noah's dead, where was Jack coming from, then left against body to talk to trucker? He did come in the house to get shorts or just to let everyone know Noah was dead. I mean, it's a fair point. Did Jack, when coming back to the house, grab any shorts to then head back out? So that then after, when Kaden's told to leave by the truckers, that's the time for when Jack hands over the shorts, if you used to interpret it that way. Just For You says, if Noah was naked when Jack first found him, I would think he would have told Kaden that when he first came in. Did Jack go back to the scene before Kaden and was left or after that? I read Kaden and the boys left minutes after Jack to the scene. Jack arrived and left quick. Yeah, Jack didn't stick about. Who was the second cell phone ping? Oh, what, besides Jack's? I can't remember. Pretty sure Stevie Howard said it was Carter Combs. Now, if that cell phone ping of Carter Combs near to Noah's body on the highway, is that justified by the supposed search for Noah? I wonder. Makes you wonder. Teresa, you crack me up. I can't even comment what I'm thinking right now. Whoa. So it looks like Teresa is a little bit hungry, but don't worry, we'll feed you. Could those marks be from running and falling, trying to hide like in a scrapyard metal or aluminum cuts gravel? I'm not too sure. Shorts there to make people think he was walking, hit by a car. Maybe if shorts were removed on video, why no arrest yet? A. Fireman, cop, trucker, Jack, stranger, stickman, one of the girls, other. Who moved the shorts? What, who took them off Noah's body, you mean? From what Kaden said, and the video he saw, it was a cop, police guy. If we're talking about who put the white shorts in the middle of the road, I don't know about that. Teresa, maybe body moved from convulsions right before death. He was still dying, not dead yet, quite. When they removed shorts, there must have been something on shorts, washed, returned, or a different pair brought, given. Someone also, people didn't. See, I guess the one thing you got to acknowledge is, when people talk about blood loss or a lack of it, was there any visible blood on Noah's body or skin? Besides the odd bit of blood maybe on the roadway and, maybe the head area, the torn scalp, was there any blood on the chest or legs? And I don't mean directly from an injury, but if blood had trickled down from the head area or the ears, was there any remnants of blood? See, depending how fresh the blood is, and I think Tim Daniels said later on in the day, was it 7 onwards that blood was fresh? 7:41? I might be wrong. Well, if the blood was fairly fresh, if by any chance that there was tampering with the body And there could be if white shorts ended up in the middle of the road, and if Kaden before that saw black shorts on Noah's body, so it must have happened in between that. But if the blood was still fresh in that period after Kaden left, depending how much blood was present, it's just interesting that the white shorts did not collect any blood on them. If there was any droplets, dribbles. But then again, if the white shorts were never intended to be put on Noah's body, and it was just chucked in the middle of the road, maybe that's why there's no mention of blood. I'm kind of cutting in there on the spot. Just thought I'd mention that. You need a job with the feds. What does Teresa say? Oh, Safia, but Safia, I can't see Safia's comment unless it was removed by YouTube. But Teresa says he would be a smart, sexy US Marshal. What, me? Ooh, okay. Carl, who, White Raff? He'd have to immigrate to the US. Legal, it takes too long to process. Illegal? Why you come in as illegal? Oh no. Maybe White Raff could become a dual citizen. Okay. Maybe his junk, oh my, was burning because he put it in the wrong hole. What? Am I interpreting this correctly? Wanted fresh air, more likely he was pulled out of a tailgate dying or dead and dumped waiting. Before I check the response, when you say his junk, do you mean Noah Presgrove's private area was burning because he put it into somebody's wrong hole, like the rear, and it caused a burning sensation? I think I might be on the wrong wave there. But then again, Amanda does say, holes are kind of crude for a female, even talking the American way into context. Well, to be honest, I think my context has gone into dodgy medical terms, and I don't know where we're going. Spencer, doesn't look good for Jack. Unfortunately, look at that. It says 3 replies, and when I click on it, there's only 1 reply. This is the perfect example of YouTube censoring comments, and I've adjusted the comment section to the newest, so they should show, but they're not. That's annoying. Nothing I can do about that, though. Sadly, by Jack picking up the white shorts, civilians being allowed at the scene, and the volunteer firefighter placing his own bedsheet over Noah's body, it could make it difficult to accurately reconstruct the events. Intentions may not have been good, but it just adds another layer of mistrust. Feel confident that this was not their first rodeo, just sounds and looks sloppy on purpose. You know, a lot of people always talk about the mastermind. You know, with these party goers, would people really plan it all out and do such a really good job? And are they clever enough to do that? Well, in the end, it just seems like a bit of a sloppy job. Sloppy enough that they're lucky enough to get away with it, if it's a form of foul play. Or sloppy enough that it just doesn't really matter if you got the right people on your side, based off that theory. What else? I missed the live, all caught up in all new kitchen appliances. I now have new kitchen. Once everything's installed, just wanted to say hello, everyone. Raf, great coverage. Appreciate that, that's good. Oh, we're going to the kitchen time. Okay. Badger, messy case. It is. From one messy case to another. Got to keep on top of it. Great coverage. Appreciate that, Beth. Sunny, good demonstration. Good to know. Look at that. 1 reply and I click on it and I can't see it. That is so annoying. Dutton, will we ever see the white shorts video? Can't wait, y'all. Awesome video. That's good to know. You won't see a white shorts video because those white shorts were never on Noah's body. Well, about that. Maybe, maybe not. We'll just have to see about it, okay? We'll see. Carl, that maybe is true after he died. We'll see. What's this one here? For one, we don't know that Noah was actually wearing any shorts when the incident occurred. He could have taken the shorts off himself and simply been carrying them. Well, first of all, AJ Williams, in a way, technically, that's what I did refer to in my video if you had watched it as a possibility. Number 2. Yes, it's not uncommon for clothes to come off during a pedestrian vehicle type event, especially loose-fitting or elastic waist shorts pants, and the clothing is not always ripped or torn. Sometimes elastic waist, loose-fitted shorts are simply pulled down or off during the event from the person rolling tumbling. But in the words of AJ, do we actually know what the fitting and the size of the clothing was on Noah's body? No, we don't. Number 3, it is not weird or strange that his body was on the white line and the shorts were in the middle of the road. It's very common in a pedestrian vehicle event for the person to be flung, drugged, or dragged one way and articles of the clothing debris to go another direction. Well, that's basically what I demonstrated in my video, if you had watched it. Stating 3 pieces of chain in no way implies that wasn't all the pieces of chain. I've also implied that as well in my previous videos. From what we've heard, Kaden Pressy's story, he saw someone remove black shorts and being videotaped. You don't have your facts accurate. No, Kaden did not say he saw someone removing Noah's shorts, nor see someone taking videos as it happened. Kaden Pressy, in the private police recorded interview, mentioned Kathy Bingham showed Kaden the video footage of the highway and the shorts being removed by a police officer. Kaden Pressy identified that there was a police guy, some volunteer firefighters and the odd other person, almost like a total of 4 people present and 1 person behind the phone. Michael Fazkaz mentioned it on Facebook many months ago. Not everybody believed him. Fast forward onwards, Kaden Pressy himself mentioned it because he was shown a supposed video of it happening, the black shorts being removed. So when AJ says you don't have your facts accurate, no, Kaden did not say he saw someone removing Noah's shorts. Well, technically, Kaden did see it. Not first-hand, granted, but through some video evidence. It might not be good enough, but I'm just reiterating what has been mentioned. More details, stating white chain, which seems to be a very broad statement. I don't know how detailed they get when listening to evidence. It stated 3 pieces of white chain, which is a normal and accurate description on an autopsy. Didn't clarify some of the info under the circumstances. Sufficient time to confirm details, stating he argued with his girlfriend, which she wasn't, not listening to the size of the chain or missing pieces. May have included a number of men on side by side. What are you talking about? Warlight Ra's been talking about that video for months. Kaden said it on a taped interview. Exactly, Carl. With the black shades on, you can clearly see, even when the light may blind your eyes, you do remember. That sounds random now, but it's just an acknowledgement. Jade, I spoke to Jack, and I'm sorry, but I don't think he had anything to do with Noah's death. Oh, what? Is that recent? Andrea agreed he doesn't know what happened, but has been harassed relentlessly. Visited Noah's grandma shortly after the incident. He served as a pallbearer and erected across the road. Until the case is solved, I'm reserving judgment. Fair enough. Saviet, I agree 100%. He's not trying to get attention. He spoke out to anyone who asked him anything, then quit speaking after backlash. He's innocent. It's a shame how people are jumping to conclusions. Amanda doesn't mean a thing. How can you say that with so much conviction? We all have different opinions. True, but what think about, I know that his timeline has changed many times, which has effed up a lot of the investigation process. See, if people are suspicious of Kaden Pressy because Kaden's timeline keeps switching and changing, what is he hiding? Why is he lying, as some would state? Well, Jack Newton isn't that clean when it comes to his timeline, because Jack's timeline switches and changes here and there, and other parts of Jack's timeline isn't even his own, but it's kind of interpreted as it is his, but it's not. So that's like another problem, which is what everyone who wants justice for Noah should be doing. Applaud you. We cannot make an informed decision without looking at everything. Fair enough. Thanks, one. Yep. We're nearly there. No one in you has explained how Noah borrowed Jack's white shorts after the shower, walked off, and then found dead with black shorts on. Yeah, that's a fair point, because if it's true that Kaden saw Noah wearing black shorts, but it's also true that Noah put white shorts on before leaving, that's even more strange. It's like a magic trick. Wouldn't make sense. Then Tyler Hardy sees him naked with the white shorts in the middle of the road and the black shorts gone. When did Noah change into the black shorts? Right before he died? Someone, please explain. Well, what I can say is, if we have the right video footage and material, we can determine at what time did Noah have black or white shorts on and how close was it till the time of when he walked away. Maybe we get to that eventually. Carl, no one even knew. Oh, right, it's just repeated because there was no proof of black shorts. The only proof of the black shorts is the last known party footage around the time of before when Noah walked away. If that is the shower footage, but it's been said that he wasn't wearing shorts there, he was naked. So maybe the teabag part is what Brooke has somewhat highlighted. No, because he wasn't wearing shorts there either. So when was he last wearing shorts then? The side-by-side rollover, you would think. But we've not seen any footage or photos of that. Savia says, my opinion, Jack knew what he was doing. That's what I was going to ask about. Touch DNA on the white shorts. Yeah. Have they been tested for it? Has to be DNA evidence on those shorts left by the person or persons who left him there, maybe. Yeah, fair point. Damn, playing catch, clipped a bit for pushing weights to brother. I'll be pushing some weights shortly, Popski. If I do have time, I need to catch up there. And it slows me down because I've got a long comment. Oh boy. Maybe after a fight, wrestling, they broke his neck and didn't want to call an ambulance. So maybe being slammed on the ground, his back or chest, which may have caused broken ribs, possibly. Puncturing lungs, causing them to collapse, maybe. Instead of being sued, they had other adult finish him off and dump the body. Maybe they had to drag his body out of a tailgate across the road to lay him on the dump spot, shorts, shoes placed just to mislead crime scene. But then adjustments made afterwards, from what Kaden references compared to Tyler. My brothers would wrestle play rough all the time. If you could not break up because they were so mad, would turn on one trying to break up a fight, grabbed them by the throat, hung him against the wall. Oh boy. Out of the list of people at the party, those last few hours timeline who would fit the police to show no mercy doing those kind of injuries. I'm surprised profiles like John Kelly can't figure out. No one gave him a list of names to see if he could rule out what's they're probably saying. But the bit about wrestling may have gone wrong. There's another one. Could be considered an accident in a sense, but would wrestling tie in with a torn scalp or an avulsion, or is that by other things afterwards? Just watch your demonstration of the black shorts removal attempt and people doing DNA retrieval. Possible vehicle coming towards them. Yes, they panicked and threw the white shorts into the road. Yeah, for the white shorts to appear in the road could be by Noah's own doing, could be by someone else, as in foul play. There's alternative ways to look at it, but we've managed to catch up with the comments there, which is all good. I think it's been quite an interesting video today. It was thought of on the spot. I wanted to catch up with that particular comment by Renee and then compare it with the previous other comments or posts by Renee too. And it does clash a bit with the timing. Interesting about being present at the highway but not being too close. Not close enough to actually see Noah and see how he was, but also being told to leave, and Tyler Hardy overhearing possibly that taking place and it not being Kaden, because Kaden was earlier, and then it could make Kaden's timeline possibly true. See, at the end of the day, Renee there later on, Kaden there earlier on, they're not going to say each other anyway. But just let me know your thoughts. I know we kind of focused in on the comments as well. That was just to catch up with some of the previous points. Just want to tie it all in line. We'll see what happens next. If you do want to share the video or hit the thumbs up, that would be appreciated. And if you want to support this channel, the pinned comments down below with the PayPal link. But the only other thing to acknowledge is Beauty Garumo did say that they were going to do like a makeup stylist approach towards me. A deal was made. Are some people going to say a dodgy deal made? No, all above board. But when some kind of stylist approach is done, we've got to channel the TikTok presence and the movement. Am I even an expert on that? Not quite, but I have done TikTok, but just normal videos as usual. So to do this transition thing, got to look into the camera, focus in at a certain angle, eyes wide, acting surprised. Wow, what's going on here? I've got to look left, right, all over the place, transition. Wow, so it looks like it's just on point. Big tips by the day. Going to be an expert in no time, man. But for the final touch, you know, apply a little brush stroke here and there, a tap here, apply a little bit of paint, click the fingers, 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, well I'll be damned, man. What the hell y'all have done to me? Oh boy, I better not do this voice, mister. Some people are gonna think I'm being a bit sarcastic. I ain't being like that, man. You need to get a grip yourself, y'all. See, Brooke Bounds kind of seems to understand what I'm trying to say. Maybe other people don't know when I'm playing with my bamboo. But let me tell you something very quick. Very realistic, this makeup which Beauty Gurumo has applied to me. It's like really 3D, like a real thing. You know, this hat is actually makeup. It's not a real hat. The nose as well, as big as it is, I'm not lying. It's a good job. Even the eyes as well, and that, you know, the rips, the flesh, the burn marks, everything, even the teeth as well. No teeth whitening today. So it looks like Beauty Gurumo, homegirl, has it all under control. I'm really impressed. Oh my God. But one thing that wasn't mentioned was, how long does this makeup stay on for? What's that, Beauty Gurumo? It lasts for 2 months. Oh no. So I'm gonna look like this for many times to come. Great. I'll have to apply some extreme measures to try and get it off in the meantime. We don't want to be scaring anyone, but then again, when this mask is off, people will be scared anyway. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night.